So today we're going to celebrate the fact that Valorant has come out in China, and the way we are going to do this is by taking a look at a game between EDG and FPX here on Haven, the two best Chinese teams, I think. But before we do that, I do have two quick announcements to make. The first of these is that tomorrow at 4 p.m. GMT, write that down in your diary, I will be hosting the big fat Valorant quiz of the year on my Twitch channel. It's an interactive quiz on Twitch where, the questions and the answers will pop up on your screen and you just click away on Twitch. 50 questions in all, should take a couple hours, I think, from 4 p.m. GMT, okay? So be there tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. We'll have a laugh, and it's quite a hard quiz. It's going to test how much you really know about Valorant. And the second thing is that this video is being sponsored by Gosu Academy, who are running a bootcamp that is starting pretty soon on January the 2nd. But let me tell you why I think that this is the best way to get better at Valorant pretty quickly. Because not only do you get the theory side of things from people like Neilzinho and Anders, tier 1 coaches, and then even a session by myself as well, but you also combine that with the 10-man sessions, the practical side of things, where you will play alongside people of a similar skill level to you who are taking it seriously, who are also trying to get better, right? With good comms, with good comps, with everyone trying to help each other get better at the game. There will be no trolling like in your ranked games and whatnot. And so this combination of theory and practice, I think, is the best way to try and get better at Valorant in a pretty short space of time. Not only that, but it is a risk-free, money-back guarantee, no questions asked. If in the first 3 days you don't like it, it's not for you, whatever, then you can come and get your money back, no questions asked as well. So there is not that much to lose and potentially a lot of RR to gain for the new year. So go up into the link in the description or in the pinned comment down below to sign up today. And thanks to Gosu Academy for sponsoring the video. And so now let's dive into the game. And the reason that this game I think was pretty interesting is because FPX are copying the old FPX and playing Viper on Haven. They're playing no duelist with a Viper, quite interesting. And on the attacking side, they were using this Viper setup, a wall across here like so, as you can see. And they're going to throw the Viper orb in there just at the front of B, just to deny really any vision, in this kind of area. And basically what that allowed FPX to do quite often was walk up in here and get pretty aggressive in these kind of areas and often like take advantage of B. They aren't running a duelist, right? So they not gonna go for many like big site execs probably because there isn't anyone to kind of dash in and create that extra bit of space. But on this B site, which as it is here is normally like undefended and only maybe with a chamber trap, we are still playing with the old chamber, which is I think why both teams are running chamber. But still, this is quite an interesting game, and you'll see that plays out in this round as well, where they are just going to walk up B. So what's going to happen is Prowler comes in here. They take Garrett. They actually come with a Skydog as well. Whilst that's going on, we get a push down here from EDG, and the TP comes in from the chamber just there. But what's going to happen now is you see that this Fade is going to get very, very deep down here towards Garage and go, extremely deep. And actually a smoke is even going to come down there so they can start to peek towards B. Nothing really happens, and you see how aggressive EDG have gotten here where, both sides, they're kind of pincering in. But the timing is just so that actually FPX like just walk away just as these guys are coming around the corner. It's like, they just miss each other. And they will go and plant the spike on B, as you will see in just a second. Fade Horn comes in, Skyflash comes in. Obviously, we can see no one's there. They're going to destroy that. Smoke comes in on this side. Obviously, they have the Viper wall just there. And then eventually, they're going to make contact with each other just here with the chamber, who sees that the breach has pushed up. And so now we've got the spike down, and we end up in this interesting scenario because it's pretty good for FPX, right? They already have all of Garage control because this Fade has already walked in. You see the Fade is just there. We have this big flank coming from the two sides of EDG, but FPX are going to deal with it pretty well. As you see, this Viper's going to deal quite a bit of damage. They get a kill just there. The Viper gets a second one just there as well. We end up in a 3v3, and this is really the fight, right? Often there is like one fight that might determine a round or really push it in one way or another. If Howdon gets this kill, I do think that EDG have a pretty good chance of winning this round, but because FPX are able to get that one, you now see we get the Viper mollies on the spike as well, right? And you're going to see that they are able to close it out from these different angles and win the first round for FPX. And now let's come to round number 9. And what we're going to see in this round is kind of the exact same thing. Viper Wall's still up here. Orb's still in there. We're going to get an Omen Smoke to kind of, look as if they might go for this cross here. And you can see one big problem I think that EDG had on this defensive side is they're playing both Jet and Chamber. And so you see that they've committed 3 people here to this A site, but they never felt confident in kind of taking control of A main or trying to, it was either kind of we're going to heavy fight for it or we're really scared like they are here. And you can see Kankan is kind of the opposite, where he's completely on his own and he's walked way past his chamber teleporter, but, he's just going for it. With his confidence. But again, you're going to see the FPX, they're just going to walk into B, and this really was an effective strategy for them. And, they got a lot of success from doing pretty much just this. And as you'll see, QQ's trying to find a way past this Viper Orb, but obviously he just can't. Doug comes in. We get the C's, we get the Fade Horn as well, and the QQ has to kind of back off there a bit. Eventually, does manage to teleport out, but this wall is going to drop just at that time, the worst time for him, and he dies. And so we end up in a 5v4. But this retake from now on is going to be super good. We're about to see one of the best breach aftershocks I think I've ever seen, because the spike is planted on B, and pretty much every time the spike is planted here, there will be someone in this corner. And I can't remember really seeing this breach aftershock. I'm sure it has been done before, but it's not one you see every day, but it's perfect. It's right here from Howden. I mean, look at that, right? It just completely covers this area. And somehow, actually, the Viper is going to die as they're trying to run away from it. Maybe some bullet spam comes in there as well and just kind of stops them. And then it's just going to be an absolute cleanup from EDG. They're all coming from the same way, but you're going to see that they just deal with it super, super well. Look at that. I mean, they even commit the fatal, but it's actually too late. They kill everyone first. Super clean retake from 4v5, all 4 still alive. It all starts with that aftershock. And then from there, just, as the distraction is coming from one side, the chamber gets killed, then everyone looks towards the chamber, and then someone else gets a kill. Just really, really nice from EDG. They win the round. And now let's come to the other side. So EDG are now attacking, and let's take a look at the Viper setup they have here. So they've gone for this wall, which I thought was kind of interesting as well. And the Viper Orb is going to often be put down here on C. They, for the most part, stuck with this kind of setup here, FPX, and it's a really, really interesting one, right? Kind of a... I don't even know, really. It kind of threatens, so obviously this part of the wall here, right, threatens that you could always be back here, and it might even help people come out in onto the site as well, right, and just create a bit of chaos on this C site and whatnot. But obviously it is a bit of a passive wall, but you do have the orb in here as well to still stop them coming out towards C. But then you've got this part of the wall in garage, which kind of almost doesn't help people in the window. It's kind of a very, very passive garage setup, and you can see in this round, actually, and FPX did struggle on this defensive side as well, but I think they figured out with this wall they needed to be more aggressive, in garage and kind of coming out of garage, and you see that that's what's going to happen here in this round. And then obviously it covers off the B entrance as well. But what's going to happen is we are just going to get a pretty, normal C hit here from EDG. They are just going to walk up basically towards C. They smoke off this side of garage, as you can see, and yeah, they're just gonna go in, and they basically just get the site. The Omen TPs across as well to come and help out, but they think, oh, we've just got this site, but the Omen and the Chamber were still coming across here, and they have managed to push out of garage and find that first kill just there. That's a big kill in this round, because it means now there's obviously no flank protection or anything like that. And you're going to see EDG, I think, make a bit of a mistake here, right? Because now all 4 of them are on the site, but they now have no flank watch, right? So they know that, there is no flank watch or anything like that. And what's going to happen here is they're going to get trapped in on the site. And this is something that I think probably happens in ranked games quite a lot, but really in pro games this shouldn't happen, right? When you are in a situation like this, 4v5, right, and you probably fear that someone is coming that way, you probably fear that you don't have garage, so you don't know about this, and you don't know what's going on there either, and so it's probable that you're going to get pinched in from 3 different angles. You basically just have to force your hand and just choose a way and just run it and just try and take that space. Because if you get pinched from 3 angles, if you have to watch 3 angles, it ain't gonna go well for you. Okay, it just ain't gonna go well. And that's exactly what's gonna happen here. As you can see, Smoggy starts to try to do this, right? Gets up there, but then backs out of it. And because Smoggy backs out of it, what that means is, you see, nobody's watching this, right? We've got the Omen who's watching behind. They're still worried about garage as well. I mean, they're really focusing on this, but, the actual threat is not coming from there at all, right? Look, no one is actually there. It's just a Prowler. The threat is actually here. There's 3 people coming on the flank this way, and only 1 person is watching it, right? Because they're so worried about this, because they've seen 1 Prowler, But if Smoggy would have just continued and like taken this space and taken on the Prowler and seen that no one was there, right? Then it's a different story, right? All of a sudden everyone's looking at the other directions, right? So this is the problem, right? That they get kind of baited into, oh, there's a bit of utility there, oh, there must be someone there, right? They're gonna come out, but actually, what's gonna happen is they just start getting the kills from coming down long, as you can see just there. Nobody gives this a really good effort, to be fair. Almost makes it work, and getting a 4K in a 1v4 almost makes it work, but does ultimately lose the round. And I think that the mistake here was the fact that they didn't go like, oh, we don't have any space, let's just force our hand and try and take some space, because otherwise in a 5v4 coming from 3 potential different directions, it wasn't ever likely to be successful. And then let's finish with round number 24, the final round in the game, where FPX would win this best of 5. And what we're going to see here is actually just going to be an A push, as you can see just here from EDG. They're just going to slowly make their way down A, very normal stuff. Nothing crazy really going on. There's actually only one defender on this A site, which is the Omen. And they're going to play for a kind of, I guess, a bit of a retake here, FPX, considering it is only the Omen on this site. But in they start to come, right? Very normal stuff. All the utility starts to come in, but this Omen here is going to do, well, not too well, because they're going to die and end up in a 4v5. But now something kind of weird is going to happen again for EDG in this post plan, as you will see in just a second, because we're in a 4v5. Everyone starts to come across, and this Sky in a second is just going to flash here, okay? And we're just going to keep note of some of the positions here and what these EDG players are looking at. So this chamber is going to be looking down here for a majority of what is about to happen, okay? And I'm not sure if they thought it was possible that, somehow, maybe a Viper Orb or something like that, right? Someone had got past the trap and managed to, like, find a timing here, because this chamber is going to be pretty concerned that someone, it seems like, is in there, or could be in here, right? There isn't, as we can see, but they're going to keep their eye on that, right? Then you've got this is a very obviously common position here for this breach. You've got a pretty common position for the fade to trade just there. This Jet is in a pretty common position, just looking at heaven, but can trade towards CT as well, right? All perfectly fine, it seems. But what's about to happen is just going to be a bit weird. And I'm just going to try and find the right time to do this. Because if we just check, so we just got a flash, right? And we just get this Prowler coming out here. And so what happens is, we're going to get this fight. The Jet is there and looking at this, and the focus is on this position, right? But the thing is, now the fade is also, because of this utility coming out here, they're going to be focused on this as well. And this breach down here as well is also, not really going to be worried what's going on in CT, and going to be, just checking in on heaven after this fight takes place. And again, the same thing is true for the guys underneath as well, where can't really see it all that well, but this chamber is still kind of looking down here. We've still got this Omen watching the flank as well, and what's about to happen is Smoggy's going to lose that fight, and that kind of is the start of the end, to be honest, because what happens is you can just see this blur here of this chamber just here has managed to get like all the way out, and everyone is just focusing on heaven. Like, everything is either focused on heaven or the flank, but actually the major threat now is going to come from this chamber, because what's about to happen is, instead of this being like a trade setup where this fade can come and swing, or maybe from hell you can come and create a crossfire on this guy here, instead it's just going to end up being a 1v1. And there often is someone in this corner, right? So this guy's just expecting this, someone to be there, and so it's going to win that fight, and then it's just going to all collapse, right? It's just going to completely all collapse. So still utility is coming from heaven, and still you can see the focus of nobody is still that. But by this point, this fight has already taken place, and nobody at this point, it's like these two have just got out and onto the site without anyone realizing, because so much was going on up in heaven. We eventually do start to get trades back and forth, but, they're going to win the fights here, FPX, and ultimately win the game. And it was kind of a bizarre end to the game there, how just like with a bit of utility, like, it was like just being drawn to, drawn to the lights of, this utility coming out of heaven, and they just snuck out of CT, and they managed to win the round, and FPX would win the game. And yeah, with the announcement that, Valorant is coming out in China, I think we saw at Champs that EDG, aren't that far away, and they actually lost this game to FPX, so maybe FPX are even closer than we realized. It'll be interesting to see what will happen, because I'm not sure if Riot knew that this would happen this soon, but we'll have to see how it does happen, and how these Chinese teams do and where will they be allowed and will they have their own league. Don't know what's going to happen with all of that, but it definitely will be interesting to keep an eye on.